President Trump has been criticized for saying diversity and inclusion policies may have been a cause of the fatal air crash in Washington, D.C. We're going to speak to our correspondent Mlyn Thomas, who's at Reagan National Airport, Reagan. Before we get on to that point, I wonder if you could just clarify one thing for me. Obviously investigations have begun, but we're talking civilian and military. Here, will that investigation for both come under the NTSB? Do we know? It still remains to be seen which official bodies will be issuing those reports, but we do know the NTSB will issue a preliminary report in 30 days. But that is still a long way to go for many of those who are seeking answers to this fatal crash and this tragedy that has taken place. For now, the recovery operation has been paused because the conditions have been deemed too difficult to work in. And just to remind you, it is incredibly cold here, and I'm looking out at the Iblack River of the Pomac, and it is freezing conditions there too, and we've heard of some of the difficult conditions that the divers have been working in. We heard from the president of the Firefighters Association here in DC, who talked about some of the really graphic scenes that his divers have been contending with during their recovery efforts, and he even described his divers their wetsuits being cut on the debris of the wreckage of the crash in the river. And that's just a reminder, Rima, that there is still a lot of the wreckage left, and that is something that the recovery operation and the divers will look to be working on and work through to salvage some of the aircraft in order to retrieve those who are still missing. A very delicate operation, because obviously you're in a river, moving water, you don't want to lose them. Those bodies. Let's turn to comments made by President Trump. What exactly has he said, and why is there outrage in a matter of hours since this incident? So President Donald Trump has appeared to link diversity hires in the aviation sector with the cause of this fatal crash, and he didn't provide any evidence as to why this was the case. And he was pressed on it several times at a press conference, and when reporters asked him, the only thing he could come up with is that it was common sense. That's what he said, and this is something that he has been keen to focus on in his first week of the administration. He has already said he would cut federal funding to diversity programs are in amongst federal workers, and so this is really something that is part of his repertoire, something that he is keen to focus on and say that he is waging the war on woke. That is something that he has repeated time and time again, and so this is something that he brought up in the press conference regarding this particular fatal crash, and it's been met with fierce criticism. So former